The era we are living in today is a dream come true. Walt Disney. Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to Dis-connected, an unofficial Disney podcast of magical proportions. I'm Whit Laxton, your Disney enthusiast host, and coming up...
I mean, every movie has been really great, but they've also all been really different.
Our journey through the history of Disney animation continues with a special Dis-cussion on the era known as the Revival. It's been so fun to see Disney Animation get back to doing, their best work. This is Disney Animation history, the Revival era. Hey guys, what's up? It's Whit, back for another episode of Dis-connected, and joining me via Skype is my friend and fellow Disney enthusiast, Katie Carter. Hey, Katie.
Hey, Whit.
Yeah, so hey, Katie, how's it going?
Pretty good.
It's good. We haven't actually done this in a while because we pre-recorded so many of our recent episodes for the history of Disney animation, and today is our last episode in this series. And it's the Revival era. We have talked about the Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, the Renaissance, Post-Renaissance, and here we are at the end, the current era of Disney animation, the Revival era. Are you ready, Katie?
I am ready.
Okay, well, let's just jump right into this. 2009 brought us The Princess and the Frog, the return of 2D hand-drawn animation. And I remember seeing this. It was released December 11th, 2009. I think I saw it opening day. I was so excited. You know, it was the return of the Disney princess, the return of 2D animation, and I was just so ready, and I really liked it.
Yeah, me too. I think I also saw it opening day. And I was equally excited because I had been so fascinated with 2D animation and all these older Disney movies, and I really hadn't thought we were ever going to see that again from Disney. And I think they, in fact, had previously said that Home on the Range would be the last 2D animated feature from them. So to have them go back and return to that form and return to doing a princess movie, which they hadn't done in a long time, was really, really exciting.
Yeah, and this is when John Lasseter kind of stepped in and took the reins for Walt Disney Animation. And so why do you think that they went back to hand-drawn for this?
I think that there was just a lot of nostalgia for it, and I think that Disney at this point really needed to bring back their audience because I think they had lost so many people and so much interest when they were off doing these really lackluster movies, and they were venturing into CGI, but it wasn't really great yet. The technology hadn't advanced too much, so there just wasn't anything special about a lot of their recent movies. So I think going back to that original thing, the thing that they're most famous for, was really important in bringing everybody back and reigniting the interest.
Right, agreed. And so Ron Clements and John Musker, directors of Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Hercules, all of those great 90s Renaissance films, came back to do The Princess and the Frog, kind of a groundbreaking movie for Disney Animation, with the princess being the first African-American princess we'd had. And I think, it was so important, and they made such a big sort of deal out of that. Although I don't think it was very important to the kids. I don't think that kids really think anything about that being so groundbreaking. But I love Tiana so much.
Yeah,
and I think she gets forgotten about.
Yeah, I mean, she's really kind of different, I think, in that she's not really going on a journey to find anything out about herself in this movie. She already knows what she wants. She has this goal of opening her own restaurant and fulfilling this dream that her dad had, and she's hardworking and all of that. But throughout this movie, she more uses her, I guess, personality and all of that to change other people as opposed to changing herself, although she does kind of learn along the way that it's important to kind of take some time to enjoy life because she is just this really crazy hard worker and never makes time for friends or anything like that. So kind of a different sort of journey for her
Right.
character, but I really like the direction they took it in.
I did too, yeah. And a great voice cast. Anika Noni Rose, fantastic voicing Tiana there. So, and so many fun characters in the movie. It was they kind of followed a specific formula, I think, with the characters. You had the sidekicks with Ray and Louie, and then you had sort of the fairy godmother figure with Mama Odie. And so they really kind of tried to go back to the formula of some of their classics and bigger hits. So, any other characters that are really fun, I guess? Charlotte.
Yes, Charlotte. She's probably my favorite of the side characters in this movie. She's Tiana's best friend, and she's like this wealthy Southern belle who her main goal is to marry a prince, but she's not really superficial. She seems like that at first, but she actually does really value this friendship that she has with Tiana, and she really is deep down a good person. And toward the end, when Tiana does get the prince, she never shows any sort of resentment or anything like that, which was nice to see. Just this really nice, solid friendship between those two female characters.
And you've also got, so you've got Charlotte's dad, and then you've got Tiana's parents, who are fantastic. Tiana's dad is, of course, a very important role in the movie and in sort of her dream and goals, voiced by Terrence Howard, and then Tiana's mom, voiced by Oprah Winfrey. Hello. Very, very nice performances there. And then the villain with Dr. Facilier, a nice villain, yeah, voiced by Keith David. So, yeah.
I think he's a pretty good villain. He's not like up there in my favorites, but
No.
he's definitely really different. I mean, I do like how he has these supernatural powers, but they kind of connect it to the setting of the story in New Orleans, with it being rooted in voodoo and black magic and all of that. So I think there was a bit of controversy with that, but at the same time, I like that they did that. I think it fit the setting perfectly.
Right. And then Prince Naveen, he's the prince. So mostly a frog, and so, it is a take on the Frog Prince, but it's Disney's spin on the story. And great music by Randy Newman, who had done a lot of Pixar music, but not so much Disney animation. And I love the songs in this movie. Down in New Orleans, Almost There, When We're Human. What's Mama Odie's song?
Is it called Dig a Little Deeper? Is that the name of the song?
Dig a Little Deeper.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Friends on the Other Side is the villain song. So a good soundtrack there from Randy Newman, and a few Oscar nominations for those songs. Princess and the Frog got an Oscar nomination for Best Animated Feature. So yeah, that year.
Yeah, I do like that it is a princess movie, kind of done in the traditional Disney way, but they also put a twist on it, so it does feel very modern. And this is the first of the princess movies that's set in America, and it's set in more contemporary times in the 1920s. And yeah, it was a nice combination of the classic, but also kind of this modern update.
I know I went into it thinking, okay, this is Disney's big comeback, and then I left not really feeling that way. Like, I know a lot of the reviews, because of the song Almost There, the headlines for the reviews were like, Disney is almost there. They're not quite there. And that's kind of how I felt about it too. Although I really enjoy it, and I think I've started to like it even more as I've watched it more and more in recent years. So, moving on to 2010, we got another princess movie, but this time 3D animation. It's the story of Rapunzel. It is Tangled, November 24th, 2010. I love Tangled. I'm hashtag Team Tangled, as I like to say, which is my nice way of saying I prefer Tangled so much over Frozen. So, and I was just watching this again like a night or two ago. It was on TV, and I love it. It's so good. It is my favorite of this era, hands down.
Yeah, I remember first seeing this and again being really excited, but leaving with a very different reaction from Princess and the Frog. With this movie, I left and I was like legit really, really excited and just loved it right away.
I think I remember leaving and being like, well, it wasn't what I expected, but I really liked it because I kind of expected this Disney fairy tale movie and it was more of an action adventure kind of film. But in a good way. It was a good thing. I know that it was originally supposed to be called Rapunzel, and then because Princess and the Frog was not the biggest box office success, they thought that changing it to Tangled, marketing wise, would sort of bring in girls and boys for the movie without, having that Rapunzel kind of princess name to it. But it was a big box office success.
Well, I mean, the style of this movie, it's a 3D animated movie, but it's so different from the previous attempts at 3D animation that Disney had done, but in a good way. I think that the technology had advanced so much more since I guess Bolt would have been the last one, right? And they could really realistically animate these human characters. And they also it was really inspired by some classic, I think, Renaissance era oil paintings. And it just has this really beautiful look to it that does kind of make me think of the 2D animated films, even though it's still a 3D film. I don't know, there's just like something about the style of it. It's really beautiful. So I like that they went in that direction with it.
I think that this is the one where every 3D animated film we've seen from Disney since Tangled, they have all sort of reflected that style. Like that was like the one where it was like, this is where we found how we're going to style our 3D animated movies. Don't you
I would
think?
definitely say that in terms of the character style. I don't know so much as the style of the
Right,
environments and
right, right.
everything. But yeah, I mean, you always see, like, whenever Disney releases their character designs for the new movies, there's always people complaining, like, well, they all look the same. And it's like, well, they don't look exactly the same, but they do. They're going with a consistent style with the human characters. When you look at Rapunzel and later like Anna and Elsa and currently Moana, I mean, you can definitely tell that they're all made by the same studio. But I kind of like that consistency, and I do like the style that they're going with.
Yeah, and I love all of the characters in this movie. Rapunzel is just so likable and so relatable. And Mandy Moore voicing her just knocked it out of the park. And who would have thought that? Would you have ever thought like, "Oh, Mandy Moore is going to just slay here as the voice of a Disney princess?"
Right. Yeah, I don't know that I would have thought that, but yeah, I mean, she did amazing. I think that she was thrilled to take on this part.
And
Um,
equally as important as Rapunzel as a lead character is Flynn Rider slash Eugene Fitzherbert, with Zachary Levi voicing him. So
yeah.
good, and it's so neat how they made those characters just so, again, equally important. I feel like to the story.
I mean, they have really great chemistry between those two characters, and I think it's a relationship that Disney has kind of established and used in some of their movies since then, where you have like this really cynical character like Flynn paired with this really optimistic character like Rapunzel, and they're thrown on this adventure together where they have to get along. I think that worked really well here. It was really entertaining. It's funny. It's sweet. It just has like all the elements come together to make just such a great movie.
I love the supporting characters as well, with Pascal the chameleon, which is Rapunzel's sidekick, and then Maximus the horse, and a great villain with Mother Gothel. Love her, and she's not getting much recognition among the Disney villain family community. I don't know, but she's
I
great.
was gonna say she's such a complex villain, I feel like, and I think she's so fascinating because I mean she kidnaps Rapunzel as a baby and basically raises her, and even though she does that so she can harness these magic powers from her hair to keep herself young, you do get a sense too that she actually really does love her and that Rapunzel loves her back. So there's just this really interesting relationship where it's like, well, maybe she's not entirely bad, but like she is, but it's like maybe she's not. And yeah, I really like that.
Well, and even the scene where she falls out of the tower at the end, to her demise, Rapunzel is kind of like reaching out, wanting to save her, kind of. So You want me to be the bad guy? Now I'm the bad guy. Yeah, anyway. The music, Alan Menken did the music. It's the last film that Alan Menken has done any music, I guess, for Disney, which is sad. They need to bring him back. But it's not so much a musical, it's just kind of a movie with music. And you've got some great songs. I See the Light. Love that song so much. And it did not win at the Oscars, but love See the Light from Tangled. So good. And then When Will My Life Begin? Mother Gothel's song Mother Knows Best is great. And then I've Got a Dream is another fun one in there too. So I mentioned that I See the Light got an Academy Award nomination. Tangled did not get nominated for Best Animated Feature, which is so disappointing. I don't know how that happened, but it did not. And Toy Story 3 won that year, but so it would not have won, I guess, over Toy Story 3, but it didn't even get a nomination. How disappointing. So then in 2011, July 15th, 2011, Disney took another turn with Winnie the Pooh, and they made a feature length new Winnie the Pooh movie. It had been, since the 70s? They hadn't really done that for their official Walt Disney Animation Company release. You'd had a few of those, like the Tigger movie and Piglet's Big Movie and all of those in the 2000s, but this was like sort of a rebirth for Winnie the Pooh, and it was really good.
It's so
So
good.
good.
Like, I was surprised by how good it actually is. And it really, unfortunately, kind of flew under the radar, and not a lot of people really think about this movie when they think about the recent Disney ones, but it's definitely up there among the best.
It came out the same day as Harry Potter, the last Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows Part 2. And we both have interesting theater experience stories for this. But before we get to those, like, what do you want to say about the movie? Because, I mean, I was just so surprised how much I enjoyed it.
Where do I start? I mean, first of all, it's hilarious. There are some great songs. It really harkens back to the older Disney Winnie the Pooh films with the opening and going through Christopher Robin's room. And then there's all of the interaction with the pages of the storybook and the words, but they really take it to another level with this movie and having the characters interact with that as the story moves along. And it's, like I said, it's so funny, but in a clever way that's really probably more entertaining for adults than kids, I almost feel like. And the scene where they're in the hole, Rabbit and Pooh are in there, and Piglet's like up there
My
trying to get them
favorite.
out. I mean, it's like an Abbott and Costello routine. It's so well done, so funny.
Yeah.
I saw it in a theater full of adults, and I mean, everybody was just like absolutely, like legitimately laughing at that scene. Not like just like, aha, but like, this is really funny.
Yeah, go ahead and tell your theater experience for the movie.
Okay, well, I saw it the day that it came out, which, as you said, was the same day as the last Harry Potter movie. I saw this before Harry Potter. So I saw it on like a Friday, I want to say a Friday morning, because I didn't have school and I didn't have work. And I wasn't supposed to see Harry Potter until the next day with my family. But I had the time and I wanted to see Winnie the Pooh anyway. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go see it. So I went to see it, was like the only person in the theater going to see Winnie the Pooh. Everyone else was there for Harry Potter. So it was just like me and like a bunch of moms and their little kids watching Winnie the Pooh on a Friday morning. So, I mean, it ended up being fine, but it was just weird. I don't know.
I saw it after Harry Potter. I wasn't that. I mean, I wanted to see it, but yeah. The first Captain America had come out around that time too. And so I saw a double feature of Captain America, then Winnie the Pooh, or I don't know what the order was. But anyway, so the theater that I was at, they had like just this rinky dink little theater, I guess, for like movies that had been out for a while or something where, nobody wanted to see the movie. So they just stuck whatever film in there that nobody was going to go see. And so, oh my goodness, the seating was level and like the screen, it wasn't even a full screen. It was like kind of square almost. And it was kind of like off to the side. So it wasn't even centered in the theater. But it was just me and a friend and then another like young couple with two kids. And I don't even know if it was their kids. They might have been babysitting. I don't know. But that's all that was in the theater, and it was kind of awkward. But anyway, I saw it and I enjoyed it, so it was worth it. And I will remember that as one of the weirdest theater experiences ever. But the movie was still good, so it didn't matter. Yeah. And then music wise, you said that it was really good music, and it is. And like Zoe Deschanel did the recording of the music, and then the writing team from Frozen. This was like their first project. So yeah, good for them. Maybe just one of them worked on this. I don't know, but either way, like somehow this was their introduction to working with Disney. So all right, moving on to the next film. 2012, November 2nd, 2012, brought us Wreck-It Ralph. Love Wreck-It Ralph. You know, my expectations were not really anything. And then I left the theater and I was so surprised at how much I loved this movie. It's so good.
It is, yeah. I think I was surprised too. I mean, I was definitely excited to see it, but it was good in a way that I didn't think it would be, I guess. And I think it was because the relationship between the main characters, Ralph and Vanellope, was developed so well and was just really sweet and believable. And I think that really made the movie for me.
And I think the world of Wreck-It Ralph was developed so well. Like the arcade games and sort of the behind the scenes world of arcade games, that was just very well thought out and felt like Pixar level of like creative process, there. So,
Yeah, it's so cool. And while they did develop a lot of new characters that are kind of inspired by different video games for this movie, they also, I mean, it's kind of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but with video games. And they got the rights to all these different characters from different franchises over the decades and kind of stuck them in and different cameos and references and all of that, from Sonic to, I mean, you've got like the worlds inspired by Halo and Call of Duty. There's like Metal Gear Solid. I mean, there's like so many. I'm not even like a huge game person, but like Pac-Man. I mean, just all sorts of games in there. And I know like my brother isn't a huge Disney fan or anything, but I think that he enjoyed picking out some of the different characters in this movie when he was watching, and he definitely caught a lot that I didn't. I mean, they just really, there's a lot of detail in the movie that you can't really catch unless you're looking for it.
well, and I'll let you kind of talk about this too, but I'll sort of start the conversation. But it was so neat to me how, with the animation between the different games, like where you had the Heroes Duty characters in the Sugar Rush game, and how they looked like their game, but they were in other games. Do you want to explain what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, Disney really combined a lot of different visual and animation styles for this movie. So you have with some of the characters and environments that are set in maybe like these old arcade games from the 80s. They're really pixelated. They have these really jerky movements. But then you have characters from like Heroes Duty, which is inspired by more recent, really graphic games like Halo, where the animation is really realistic and they move realistically and all of that. So, I mean, just all the different visual styles throughout this movie that you see, it's so cool how they combine them and how they all look when they're next to each other. It's just so great. The attention to detail is fantastic.
Yeah. And I love all the characters. I think Ralph is a great, protagonist, and sort of his journey, and not wanting to be a villain, and sort of that adventure that he takes. And then you were touching on the friendship between Ralph and Vanellope. It's so good and so heartwarming. And even some of the supporting characters like Fix-It Felix and the what's the Hero's Duty character?
Calhoun.
Yes, Calhoun. And great voice performances. John C. Reilly, fantastic. Sarah Silverman, so good. Like as Vanellope, fantastic.
Yeah,
And
that
then
was perfect. Perfect
Jane
casting.
Lynch, and yeah, perfect. Jane Lynch in there too. So
And
yeah,
Alan Tudyk does King Candy, and he's been popping up in a lot of Disney films recently, and he did
Right.
really, really great job with that.
It's like they're making him their kind of good luck charm
Right.
slash, what's the guy from Pixar that does all the movies?
John
John
Ratzenberg,
Ratzenberger.
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what he's becoming. So for Disney Animation, kind of, it seems like at this point. But yeah, any other thoughts on Wreck-It Ralph? I saw it opening day and was just completely surprised at how much I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, me too. And I'm really excited that they're making a sequel to it.
Yeah, Wreck-It Ralph 2, March 2018. And we didn't talk about the storyline of Wreck-It Ralph 2 very much in the podcast when we talked about the Wreck-It Ralph 2 announcement. Do you want to talk about what it's going to be about a little bit?
Well, apparently it's going to be set in the internet. So I guess Ralph is going online, and you see in this promo image they released, kind of in the background, there are all of these logos that are obviously takes on websites like, I don't remember what's in there, but like probably BuzzFeed, Google,
Yeah.
that type deal. So yeah, that'll be really different from the first movie, but I think it could be different in a good way, and could also be a good opportunity to maybe make some sort of timely commentary on about social media and all these issues, I guess you could say, surrounding that. And yeah, I'm interested to see where they take it.
Yeah, me too. Can't wait. Yeah. I think my last final thought about, the original Wreck-It Ralph is just that I was so disappointed that it did not win Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. That was so disappointing because Brave won, and Brave is like not the best Pixar movie by a long shot. So I was very devastated when Wreck-It Ralph lost, for sure. All right, so then a year later, 2013, November 27th, 2013, brought us Frozen. And honestly, we've already done a full episode with my Frozen rant where I just sort of break the movie apart and talk about how I don't like it. So I don't like it. I won't get into specifics. You can go listen to that episode. But obviously, the biggest success of this era, a phenomenon, and yeah, I don't like it. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel as strongly about it as you do, but it's not, especially in hindsight and comparing it to the other films of this era, it is not the best. But it is the return to these really big Broadway inspired musicals that we hadn't seen from Disney since the Renaissance era. So it is exciting to see them go back to that. And the music is good, even though I know you don't like it within the
I like the
context of the
music.
film. But yeah,
Yes.
the music is good, and it's just, I think it's nice to see that sort of style of story making a comeback.
I mean, the success and sort of the phenomenon of the movie really kind of put Disney animation back on the map. And I mean, I think there was definitely a build-up with Princess and the Frog, Tangled, Wreck-It Ralph, and then Frozen. Like, I don't think it was like those movies weren't, big successes, and they definitely got recognition, but I think it was definitely like by the time Frozen got here, it was like, okay, yeah, we're all on board for this. It's gonna be huge, and it was. So congrats to Disney. I was very happy for Disney. I just wish that it had been like Tangled that had gotten all of this love and success, because it's just I don't think Frozen. It's no. It's overrated.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and I don't know. I keep hoping that some of the hype is dying down a bit, but then things happen that make me think that's not.
Yeah.
Like when I was.
You were doing your Disney College program when this phenomenon happened.
I was, and it was really kind of crazy to see how it just exploded because I remember working with the characters before the movie came out, and everyone was like, "Who are these people? What is this movie?" Um,
It was kind of an overnight kind of phenomenon thing, and yeah, it did win the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, which was the first time that Disney Animation, aside from Pixar films, had won that category, which is so strange, but the category had only been around since 2001, you know,
was it?
but
Huh.
yeah, it was.
Mm.
So, but to hear specific thoughts on Frozen, you can go listen to the Frozen Rant episode. Uh, and then a year later, Big Hero 6, November 7th, 2014, Big Hero 6 was released. And I was so ready for this because I was like, good riddance, Frozen. This is going to be great. And it was great. I mean, it wasn't, such a, phenomenon and groundbreaking success as Frozen, but it won Academy Award for Best Animated Feature and all that. So, yeah, Big Hero 6. Love it. What about you?
Yeah, I really loved it too. I mean, it's definitely a completely different movie from Frozen. This was the first Disney animated movie that was based off of a Marvel comic. Basically, when Disney got Marvel, they, I think, had some people in the studio kind of go through and pick up property that they would want to adapt. And they went with this one, which I believe is based off a Japanese manga. So it's not super well known in the US, which is kind of nice because it feels really new and different. Even though it is based on a Marvel property, it's not part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so it exists in its own little world, which is really intriguing. It like the town it's set in is called San Francisco, so it's this combination of Tokyo and San Francisco. So you see this meeting of two cultures that resulted in a really interesting visual style that you can definitely tell is inspired by that kind of more anime look, but it also still looks like a Disney movie.
It does have a really interesting look and does feel like a comic book kind of thing. The character of Baymax just kind of took on a phenomenon in itself, really. Like, I saw so many like Baymax Halloween costumes last year, which I totally should have done. Oh my
You
goodness.
should
I
have.
love Baymax. Like, that was like the highlight for me. And I got like a Baymax plush for Christmas that year, that was just 2 years ago. But anyway, the voice cast for this movie so good, and I follow all of them on Twitter, and they're like so supportive of their movie and so proud to be a part of it. But the whole like the Big Hero 6 group, you had Honey Lemon, Go Go, Fred, Wasabi, Hero, and Baymax, and they just make a great little team. And I like the story. I mean, the action scenes are really cool. They just, a totally different movie from anything in this era, but they really just did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of your typical superhero origin story. There's nothing like really, really different about the plot, but I think the characters are what really make it different from other superhero movies that we've seen in recent years. And as far as their powers, and Baymax, of course, is really different and fun. And yeah, I think it works.
We're going to have a Big Hero 6 TV series on Disney XD soon, and we didn't mention this a while ago, but there's also going to be a Tangled series on Disney Channel. So that brings us to this year, 2016. Back in March, Zootopia was released, and I think we've just been in love with this movie all year long. It is my favorite movie of 2016 so far, and it is so good. Oh my goodness. Wow. Good job, Disney.
Yeah. It just gets better every time I see it. You know, you pick up on different things and all of that. But just the balance of a good story and good characters and a good message. It's so timely. I just, everything about in the world that they created with the anthropomorphic animals, it's just really, really different and great to see Disney taking on a project like this.
I mean, I just remember being in the theater and being like, oh man, like Disney is going here and I like it. So I really liked it. I mean, I left like so happy, and then seeing it again, like when the Blu-ray came out recently, like I was like, oh, I love it, I love it. We reviewed the movie as a Disconnected podcast back in the spring, so you can go hear sort of our full thoughts on it. But
Yeah, I mean, it had the biggest opening weekend for a Disney animated movie ever, beating Frozen. Uh, so yeah, so really, really big deal there, and just it's continued to do very well throughout the year.
I love the characters. I love the voice performances. I think I might have mentioned this in our podcast review, maybe not, but I like that Judy Hopps was sort of the main character more so than Nick Wilde because I didn't expect that, and I really liked that character. So, yeah.
I think that was something that was changed in development. I think it was initially supposed to be focused more on Nick, and they decided it would work better with Judy, and I think it does. Again, you have that cynical character in Nick and the more kind of relentlessly enthusiastic, optimistic one in Judy, and they're kind of thrown together despite their differences, which makes for a lot of good comedy, but they also develop this really nice friendship throughout it. Yeah, it's just so good.
It is. I would rank it like right below Tangled for me for the era, for sure. Especially after thinking about it. Because I think originally I would have put this like under even Big Hero 6 and Princess and the Frog, but after seeing it a few times now, I'm just like, no, it is like up there with Tangled. It's so good.
Like, I thought, like, not too long after I first saw it in the theater that I was like, I think this is my favorite one of this whole era of recent Disney films, and I still believe that. I do have really high hopes for Moana, though. I think Moana could be like the one for me, but we'll see.
I am excited to talk about Moana because we have so much to talk about with this movie, even though it's not even out yet. So, the last movie to discuss in this era, which will be coming out this November, it's Moana. And I'm so excited. And all of these like teasers and trailers and promos and just the marketing stuff that they've been doing has me just like can't wait. Oh, so
Yeah, I'm
excited.
like
And I know that
worried that
you
I'm like getting too excited about it, and I'm gonna just like disappoint
same.
myself. So I'm like trying to bring it down, but I'm still
Mhm.
just like, no, this is gonna be like, this can't not be good.
Mhm. Yeah. And you have like even more insight because you went to Comic-Con, which we haven't even mentioned on this podcast, but you went to Comic-Con and went to the panel about Moana. What
I did. I went to the panel that they had about Moana. It was called Moana: The Art of Story. The directors were there. Ron Clements and John Musk are directing the movie. They were there. They were
like
there
what
with.
how did you even handle that?
I was
How
sitting in
did
the
you even
second row.
handle being in the
They
same
were like right
room?
in front of me. It was crazy. So they were like right there. Um, Jared Bush, who is a co-writer on this movie, he also co-directed and co-wrote Zootopia. He was there. Amy Sneed, who is the supervising animator on Moana and the first female animation head for a Disney movie, was there. And then one of the producers, I forgot her name, but she was there as well. And then, of course, the voice of Moana also made a surprise appearance at the end of the panel, which was so exciting.
Ali'i, last name still don't know how to say, but by November I will know how to say her last name. Okay, so what can you tell us? What can you tell us? Like, don't give it all away. Like, I know that you know the story, and I was like texting you like I want to know, but can you like I also kind of want it to be a surprise, and you were like, oh, I think you should just let it be a surprise too. So
I mean, they showed us the first 3 minutes of the movie, which really helped set up the story. And then everybody else on the panel kind of came in after they showed us that footage and filled in some of the gaps and kind of gave us more of a synopsis, I guess, of what was going on. Moana has this like special connection with the ocean, and that her people, who are led by Moana's father, I guess he's the leader of their tribe, they're kind of told to stay within their island, I think, and not go out exploring. But Moana is a descendant of all of these navigators, and they're really kind of have it in their blood to go out and venture across the ocean. And Moana's grandmother is the one who tells her about this connection that she has, and she sets Moana on this quest to go find Maui, who's still banished somewhere, and give him that so that he can restore it. And I think restoring it will kind of like reignite everybody's like love for exploration, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds exciting. It sounds epic. Like, it sounds like a huge, like, adventure sort of movie. And not at all a princess movie.
Yeah, I mean, Ron Clements and John Musker said they were like, yeah, it's an adventure story, but we really think of it more as a hero's journey. And Moana's going on this journey to kind of find herself and who she is, because she didn't really know anything about her lineage before now, I'm guessing. Yeah, it's going to be fun. We saw another scene, too, that hasn't been shown in any of the trailers either. That is Moana's first meeting with Maui, where we really see some of her personality, and it's so funny. And Maui, who's, of course, voiced by Dwayne Johnson, perfect choice to voice this character who's just really, like, egotistical. And I mean, this whole meeting between him and Moana, he's like thinking that she's a fan of his and is trying to like sign autographs for her and all of this. And she just is like not buying any of that. And finally he's just going on and on. She just like grabs his ear and pulls him down and is like, listen, you are coming with me. We're getting on that boat and we are going to go like do this thing.
So that's what you've seen. And you, of course, were at the panel too. And I mean, I've seen 2 teaser trailers and the international trailer. So I don't know. I mean, I think, yeah, maybe I need to like calm myself down just a little bit, not to get overexcited as we were talking about. But or I don't want to get my expectations too high, but at the same time, like I feel like it's going to be amazing.
I think so. And I mean, they were showing us all these animation tests and everything too, and talking about the challenges of animating Maui because his tattoos, I guess, like move all the time, and they like talk to him. I think they said they're kind of like, I don't know. It's like his story is like written all over him, is what they called it. They call it his backstory, like he literally has it on his back. Anyway, haha. Eric Goldberg, like I said, was heading the animation on that, and they talked about the challenges of placing a 2D animation on top of a 3D animated character. It was really interesting. We saw some tests and descriptions of some of the side characters, like Pooh the pig, and and that rooster who's just like so dim-witted, I guess, and I don't know exactly what point he's going to serve, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, they released all that. Yeah. They released those sort of character animation posters. So I've seen some of that stuff. Okay, and then the music with Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I have to say, at the panel, they showed this little clip about the filmmaker's research trip to the South Pacific. And Lin shows up in there twice, I think, for half a second each time. And every time the room just exploded when he appeared. I mean, I think everybody is so psyched.
Well, and then we've got to talk about
the Instagram.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We've got to talk about his Disney Animation Instagram takeover, because that was the best thing ever.
It was. Like, I can't think about it without dying. It was so good.
So I guess they were shooting some promotional stuff for Moana, and it was like, he was there, Ali'i, who's the voice of Moana, was there, Dwayne Johnson was there, the directors were there, and they let him take over the Instagram, and he was just singing Disney songs, and it was so, like, shot on the iPhone, clearly, simple, just posted, and it was all of the songs that, like, you randomly sing, and the way he did it was just, like, how I would do it, or anyone would do it, just having fun. Like, the Mulan one was just the best thing. Yeah. So good.
I can't. It was so good. And I thought it was so funny because, like, I saw in the morning that day that he was taking it over. And I thought it was just going to be like, he's going to like post some pictures of like what was going on and stuff. And he kind of did that at first. And then it just turned into like nothing but a sing along of Disney songs the whole day. It was so good. I mean, yeah.
And
Mulan,
it was trending.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But he also did like, I don't know, just all these songs that you maybe wouldn't initially think, like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea,
And
and he did Rescue
Newsies.
Rangers. I mean,
Yeah, he did Rescue
so
Rangers.
good.
Like, seriously. It made me even more excited about the movie. Okay, but talking about the music, though, like, so do we know... I think you said it was more of like a movie with music and not so much a musical.
That's what they said. And I think you said maybe it might be more like Tangled, and I'm kind of leaning in that direction, in that it'll be not like a full-blown huge musical like Frozen, but more of a movie that has the characters singing some songs here and there. I mean, they said that like Dwayne Johnson is singing a song that Lin-Manuel wrote for him, so I at least know that much.
Okay. Wow. I feel like we could have done a whole episode
We
on
really
Moana.
could have. I mean, that panel was just like definitely a highlight of San Diego Comic-Con for me. I mean,
Yeah. I can't
it
imagine.
was amazing.
Being in the same room as Ron Clements and John Musker.
They were
No.
so
I
close.
can't.
So close.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Okay. Well, any other thoughts on this whole era as a whole? I mean, it's been so fun to see Disney Animation, get back to doing like their best work.
What I love about this era, I mean, every movie has been really great, but they've also all been really different. I mean, we go from a movie like Princess and the Frog, that's 2D animated fairy tale, to Tangled, which is more of an adventure. I mean, Frozen's the big like Broadway musical, but then the next film after that was a superhero movie, and Wreck-It Ralph is all like video games, and then Zootopia, which has animal characters but with a contemporary message. I mean, they're all just so significantly different, but all great in their own ways, and it's just been really fascinating to see all the different things that Disney is coming up with.
I've just loved seeing Disney Animation make a comeback after that sort of post-Renaissance era that just didn't really do much for the history of Disney Animation. But it's been fun. It's been a fun era to experience, and I hope it keeps going. So maybe they'll just stay on a roll here. I hope so. But this is the end of our Disney Animation series, the history of Disney Animation, and it's been fun. Like, I've enjoyed like discussing these, and it's weird to think like that we really went from the beginning to now.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of history.
It is.
And we covered it all.
We did.
And I think we did a pretty good job.
I think
Yeah.
so.
And we had fun. It was fun. Yeah, it's been a fun little summer of doing these. So maybe we can do one more before the summer's over and I start back to school and all that. But, because, I mean, we still got, like, there's so much news to talk about. So much news has happened, like, in this time that we've been doing this series. So, and you went back to Disneyland and Comic-Con and all that. But, so yeah, but this has been fun. I've enjoyed it. Thank you for participating.
Well, thanks for having me along. It was fun.
Yeah, of course, of course. Be sure to follow mine and Katie's social media links in the description below. Be sure to follow at Disney_connected on Instagram, and be sure to check out all the episodes in this Disney Animation history, the eras of Disney Animation. Go binge listen or check them all out. We did all the eras from 1937 all the way up to 2016, so it's been fun, and until next time, have a magical day, and I'll see you real soon, folks.